Broadcasting from Ireland, featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in magic. Welcome to the Deceive Reality Podcast with your hosts, David Peace and Steve Spade.
And we are live. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us again. And we're delighted to be joined this week by Sabine. Sabine, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for joining us. This is actually the first time in a while we've had everybody in a similar time zone, because it's like Europe united right now.
Right.
It's usually we're sitting in the dark and someone in like somewhere in America is like, oh, I just got out of bed. So it's you're actually in the future now for us. So that's great.
I know. Do you want to know what's going to happen?
Don't spoil it. There's so much to happen. So we always start right at the beginning, where how someone first fell in love with magic. So what would that story be for you?
So when I was about 8 years old, my grandfather bought me a magic kit, and I hated it. No, I'm joking. No, everyone always starts with the my grandfather bought me a magic kit story. But no, that was for me. That was not the case. I didn't have or know actually about magic until I was 18. I always wanted to be a dancer my whole life. So when I was 18, I joined the Holland Show Ballet as the youngest person ever. I still have the record.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. And there was a magician in the show, and her name is thanks. And her name was Sita. I was actually a female magician as well. And on the day of opening night, we had a run through, and one of her assistants not broke, but like damaged her ankle. And then obviously there was panic, and they needed someone, and they just asked me, like, would you be able to do some illusions? And I was like, I don't know, show me what it is. So they were like, well, you have to do the fire cage, and I think the fire spiker or something. We have 20 minutes to learn. I was like, oh my God. But I loved it immediately. We did the show in the evening. It went well. I came out of the fire cage, and all the people were just like, wow, and they were clapping. And I thought, oh, this is so cool. This is like a new, if you're a dancer and you kind of know that you know your choreography, do you know what I mean? You've practiced it, and you just know, like, okay, I'm going to rock it. But with magic, you can practice it and practice it and practice it for years, but you still don't know if moment supreme, when you need it, it's actually going to work.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, that's also kind of exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's how it started, actually. I was immediately hooked. And I also stayed with Sita and her troupe to do more gigs. We went to Monaco, we went to Sweden. I don't know, I was 18 and traveling the world, and I immediately thought this combination is just amazing.
Yeah.
Being a dancer, I suppose, then as well, and the choreography, you were saying your timing is so important to be an illusionist as well, so they would go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps, and the timing, and obviously the flexibility. Yeah, I started out as an assistant, obviously. So yeah, that definitely helped.
Yeah, I can see as well when you go from learning to do like a triple pirouette or something, and you get a polite afterwards, and then you just come out of a box and people go crazy. It's like, maybe I'll come out of boxes more. It's
Yeah, well, I think magic is more difficult in a way, because like I said, it's less certain. It's less, the security isn't there. If you know you can land a triple pirouette, you can land a triple pirouette, if you're not sick or if you don't feel weird, whatever, you can do it. But with magic, you can have the best day, but it can also technically, something can go wrong, a little handle can break off, or so many things, or you forgot to change the batteries, or there's so many things that can go wrong.
Yeah, and you're not just relying on yourself. That like there's technology on stage, and if you're an assistant, you're relying on the magician, that he knows what he's doing. As the magician, you're relying as an assistant that they know what they're doing. It's definitely a lot of complexity going on there.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially being an assistant, starting off, you know both sides of it. Then you know the fundamentals of being an assistant and what. I mean, we all know the assistant does the majority of the work with some illusions, and it's nice to know both sides of that side of of each illusion, because I mean they all vary.
Yeah, definitely. And I have to say, I don't like to call the people I work with assistants because, like you say, it doesn't feel like that at all. Because um, when I was, for example, Hans Klok's assistant, the pressure was on. You don't want to do it wrong for him because he has such a big name, and you do such big shows, or you do live television, which is the worst. And you feel this pressure of, oh, I can't do it wrong because his face is on the poster and he hired me and he's relying on me, and I feel this pressure. And then when I was the magician, I thought, oh great, the hard part is over. I can now just sort of look good. But that came with a completely different vibe of responsibility, because now it's your name, and wait a second, people now really know who I am and my name, and now I am on the poster, and I feel a completely different kind of pressure. So it's both things are just nerve-wracking.
That nervous kind of excitement to kind of keep you on your edge. You have to make your mark, and especially you're kind of making somebody else look good as the assistant or the performer with the performer. But as the performer, like you said, your name's on the poster, they're coming to see you. The pressure is tenfold.
Yeah, and especially when you're in a show and you're in the illusionist, you're in a lineup, so that also gives sort of pressure. I mean, I've been in a lineup with people like Colin Cloud, Kevin James, Jeff Hobson. I mean, stop! I can't even. Do you know what I mean? Like it's almost like I don't want to go on. I mean, like you're honored, but at the same time, you don't want to do it because you're like, I shouldn't be in this lineup. There's something wrong.
Did you feel like kind of extra pressure being like a female illusionist in that kind of very male-dominated lineup?
Well, you want to do it right. I mean, you always want to do it right. But when you're the sole female in an all-male cast,
Sure.
you do feel you really don't want to drop the ball, and you really don't want to make a mistake, because unfortunately, people will say that. They will say, now, the only woman in the show we could have done without, because now she made a mistake. And we can all make mistakes, and it happens every so many times for everyone. Let's say also for Kevin James or also for Hobbs, it's magic. It just happens. Mm-hmm. But I do feel that they're a bit more, maybe watching me.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because not everyone is doing that. But I think we're so used to seeing the men with the female assistant that, I don't know, maybe it's something we really have to get used to still.
Yeah.
So there's that stereotypical idea of the magician, like you said, the magician and the assistant kind of a thing, but I suppose when people see you do the vacuum bag escape and things like that, you're seeing a female performer doing stuff that, like you said, primarily a male performer would do. So that must catch them off guard, and then they probably appreciate the effect a lot more to see you do it than somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you do it well, they will be like, oh wow, we didn't know women could do this too. Do you know what I mean? But if you do it wrong, you get it double.
Yeah, sure.
You get it twice as hard. Like they slate you in the press, or they will.
There's something we've talked about a lot on the show with a lot of people about, that magicians kind of all get grouped together in that if you see a bad singer or comedian, you don't say you don't like comedy or magic. But if you see a bad magician, you say you don't like magic. And then it's like double that for female magicians, because again, it's like, oh, I don't like magic if you see a bad magician. But then it's like, oh, I like magic, but not all female magicians, rather than just that one didn't do well. It's like a blanketing of everyone. But you don't see that in like if a female singer does bad, you don't go, oh, all female singers are useless. Get Beyonce out of here. She shouldn't be singing. It's people don't do that.
And it's a shame, but in a way, I don't blame people because unfortunately, it just takes us a bit of time to get used to things.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you go to an Italian restaurant and they serve you sushi, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
And I feel that some people will go, oh, this is amazing. I can eat pizza and sushi. Wow, what a great concept. But unfortunately, you also have some people that will go, no, I just want the pizza because I'm in an Italian restaurant. And I don't blame people necessarily. I mean, some people just need more time. And like I've said before in other interviews as well, we don't yet have this Beyonce of magic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we have all these male icons like Houdini and David Copperfield and like all these male amazing David Blaine and Dynamo and all these dudes. But who is that woman?
Yeah.
She's not there yet. And I'm also not it, and that's okay. But I think in the new generation, we really need like the female Beyonce of magic. And I think then people will be okay with the sushi in the Italian restaurant.
Definitely. And then when you're performing, as you say, you came from a dance background, and it was interesting watching like you do a lot of escapes, like the vacuum seal bag that Steve was talking about, and water torture. And a lot of escape is down to you're telling a story with your body throughout the escape, which is very similar to a dance. Did you find that like you got a lot of advantages performing stuff like that coming from dance?
I would love to say that during escape, I am thinking about how I'm moving my body and but honestly, I'm just scared.
Yeah.
I gotta get out.
Well, yes, I do think about a lot of other things. Like I am a typical person that, for example, dives into the water cell. Luckily, not head first, because that's where I draw the line. But I'll dive in. I'll be fine, and literally like 10 seconds in, my inner saboteur will tell me, this time it's gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
And I have the same when I do my act with Jonathan Goodwin, and he's shooting towards me with the arrows and the bow. Like we did it at Magic Live, for example, I think 2 years ago. And I told him, I said, sometimes, Jonathan, I'm sitting there and I'm convinced you're going to shoot me. Convinced. And it's just, you're sitting on stage and you're like holding the balloon, pretending nothing is wrong. But in my mind, I think I'm going to die.
And in your mind, you're like, I've done this like 100 times. So law of averages is it has to mess up at least once. You know, you're just.
That's it. That's exactly it. Like, and what I said, it's the inner saboteur that will tell me this time it's going to go horribly wrong. You're going to regret this.
Yeah. Because I do find as well that like you'll be on stage and smiling, but in your eyes, people are like, "Oh, she's such a great actress." You can see she's letting us see a bit of it's such great acting, and on the inside, you're like, "Oh God, I'm going to die. It's over."
Seriously, I deserve an Oscar because people always say after a show, "Oh, you're so fearless," and I wish I was so fearless. And then I think, "Oh, it's good you don't know. I am anything but fearless. It's just the key. You just have to do it."
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you're not afraid. It can go hand in hand, actually.
I think that kind of element of fear, that genuine kind of human fear that everyone has as an escape artist, that inside you gives you that edge to an adrenaline, gives you that push. That you kind of have to. You can't panic, but you do need that fear. If you're going in kind of cocky, like everything's going to be fine, then you are going to mess up.
Yeah. I think so, and you'll probably maybe forget to check something crucial, or you know what I mean. So I'm always happy. Like I'm always very nervous before I perform, and once in a blue moon I am not, and that also freaks me out. Like, why am I not nervous?
Yeah.
Something is going to happen.
Yeah. People are getting the real behind the scenes here, because this is how real performers feel when they perform.
terrified. And it's always, you always think you might learn a new trick and go, oh, this is so easy, I'll just go perform it, and then you immediately mess it up, and it's like, nope, I should have double checked this or that. It's not good. You have to, it's the thing, you have to be nervous when you think it's easy. That's when you're in danger, really.
Stop. Like, I had this with the newspaper. So I always wanted to perform the newspaper, because when I think I saw Hans actually doing that for the first time. I know other people did it way before, but my experience was the first time was with Hans. And I just thought,
Yeah.
where are the pieces? Like, I really didn't understand. And I was also lucky that he was the one teaching me how to do it later, when I was already doing magic and everything. He was like, do you want to know? It's like, yeah. So he taught me. And every time I practiced this in my room or in my whatever, it went perfect. Perfect. Like, la la, and I turned it, and full la la, boo. Every time. And I went on stage with it in the illusionist. This is my, I can barely talk about it, but I am going to do it. Every time on stage, it went wrong. It wouldn't. I didn't have it the wrong way around, because that's what some people do. They flip it the wrong way around, and they're like, oh, I didn't have that. But it just didn't. It was just stuck, and it wouldn't fall, and it wouldn't drop. And I just thought, I cried about this thing. And I would come off stage, be all angry, and I would immediately make a new one and do it in my dressing room, and boom, perfect day. And I thought, one time I remember I was in Denver with the illusionist, and I did it on TV as well for promotion, and it went fine on television also, thank God, but not in the show. And I sat with myself in my bed one evening, and I thought, I'm gonna watch another video of me doing it wrong. I hate it, but I'm gonna watch it. I need to see what I'm doing. And I like literally rewind and, like, very slow motion, like, what am I doing? And I noticed, because I'm on stage and adrenaline and you're hysterical, I was like trying to throw it down instead of just folding it open, like horizontally. I was sort of throwing it down. And from that moment on, every time, boom, boom, and I was so happy. But you know what I mean? Those are the moments where you just think, I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Maybe you're kind of questioning, maybe it is real magic. I don't know. But when you see, like you said, when you see some of the older performers doing it, it's always a very slow, elegant piece. And that part, when it opens, it just kind of seems to melt back together, kind of a moment. And I do know what you mean, because when you flick it forward, it might not open. It might not. Sometimes it will, but not every time.
I can tell you, it won't open. I tried it multiple evenings, but yeah, it's just that's the frustrating thing of magic. And now I still love doing the newspaper routine, because people are just, great. And now I can't imagine not being able to unfold it. So that's also a really nice feeling. And it's the same with illusions. Sometimes when you get a new illusion, you're like, I'm never gonna fit. Or, do you know what I mean? You look at it and you just think, nah. And then after a couple of times in the show, you're like, I can't imagine that this one time didn't work.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling, don't you think?
Yeah, it becomes so routine, it becomes a part of you, kind of a thing. Yeah.
That's great. And you can really start to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then you can add to it then, if you know your material inside and out, then you can add a little bit, or you can add something in that's just a moment, or you can bring someone up from the audience and do something extra or whatever. But you have to know your material to have that confidence and comfort.
Yes. Yeah. You're just like that, tunnel vision to the end of the trick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on as well with magic, where, as you think, on stage or in front of anybody, you will perform it slightly differently than you would normally, because of adrenaline and that sort of stuff. And even sometimes when you just get overthinking something, like with cards, doing a pass or any of those sort of moves, that you just have it down, it's muscle memory, and then it goes to the front of your brain, and suddenly it's just, your hands just do this. So I had that at a gig with doing ring thing, And I ended up in this position, just being like, my hand just cramped up on me, and I tried 4 times at 4 different tables, and I was like, I've forgotten how to do this trick that I've been doing for about 15 years. And because I literally just went, yeah, it's amazing how my body just knows to do this. Look, what? Oh no, my body's forgotten. But
Yeah, that's so crazy.
yeah. You really don't want if you have something in muscle memory, leave it there and never think about it again. Just go through.
Yeah. And like you said, don't think about the gestures, because it will just happen. And the second you think about it, you're sort of interrupting the brainwave.
If there's something similar as well, you can get mixed with different methods. So it's the one effect, but you might know 4 ways of doing it, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm not doing any of the ways. What's going on? And you kind of just you stop, and you're like, I know 4 ways to do this, but I'm not doing any of them. What's going on? So those little moments can catch you off guard.
Yeah, I have that sometimes if I have, for example, a punter up to do. I was doing in the illusionist. And also in Now You See Me, I was doing walking through glass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a punter up, but I had done it so many times by then. I started to have some banter with him, and then it was all funny, and he was really funny, and I thought, oh, people are laughing and this is great. I forgot half of the prep of the trick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had to, like, I didn't have my handcuffs, and he was like, I already sent him back, and I was like, oh my god. It turned into a comedy piece, and I just completely forgot to do all the things I had to do to actually do the trick.
Yeah, it's when you forget you're not really magic. I remember I was doing that before, doing a drawing duplication, and I was just about to duplicate their drawing when I realized I never got a peek. I didn't even try. I was just, again, having good interaction with the person, and I was just like, so standing with a drawing pad looking at this person, it's like, how do I take like their billet back out of my pocket for some reason? Those are the situation when you go, oh, I'm not actually magic. I actually needed to do something here for this to work. And
we were talking that with Sean Farquhar as well. We were saying that, like, those moments where you're so in the zone and you're performing and everyone's loving it and everything, and then all of a sudden you kind of like, oh, I have to keep on doing the sleight of hand, or I have to keep on doing, but you kind of it kind of can get away from you, and you're like, it'll just happen. It'll be grand. I won't have to load the thing. It'll be fine. Of course, it'll be there. It's just a kind of funny moment.
Yeah.
When you were saying you've done shows with, like, Now You See Me and The Illusionists, how did you start performing with those big touring companies?
Yeah, good question. How did I get there, actually?
Right.
That's the real magic right there. How did I get booked? Let me think about that. So the first big show I did was Impossible in the West End in London. That is, how did that happen? Let me think. I was how did that happen? Oh, I know how that happened. I quit doing Hans Klok because we went to Germany like a lot of times, like with not so much time at home in between, and I couldn't see any more German little villages. I don't know if anyone from Germany is watching. I love you all. Germany is great, but I couldn't do it anymore. I felt like I need to stay home. Then in the meantime, there was a really cool show called Impossible in the West End the year before. And Josephine, who I knew from Hans Klok, was an assistant in that show. I believe from who?
Ali Cook.
Yeah, from Ali Cook. Sorry. Ryan is sitting right there. He wrote the music. So if I have Impossible related questions, I can ask him. So she was the assistant of Ali Cook, and then they got sort of slated in the press for not having any women, and that the women that they had in the show were just, bringing on props and being the assistants and the typical thing. So they asked Josephine, would you be up for doing, a solo part? And she said yes, which is really good for women in magic, and also for me. Turned out later, when the year after, she was on tour with Hans in Germany, and they asked her to be, the female lead in Impossible, but she couldn't do the rehearsal time. So then Hans, I think, came up with, why don't you ask Sabine? Sabine is home. She can fly to London, rehearse all your stuff. Then you come. She quickly teaches you, and then you go and do the tour, because otherwise she had to say no to the tour because she was with Hans. And then Josephine was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So I went there and I rehearsed everything. I think she did Table of Death and Eclipse and something else that I now forgot. Doesn't matter. And then she came, and now I was like, this is what it is, and this is what you do, and blah, blah. And she did an amazing job, and I left. And then, like, very soon after I left, like a month later, the producer from Impossible called me, and he was like, do you know what's better than one female on the lead? 2 females on the poster. And he was like, would you want to do something? And I was like, yes, that's amazing. I loved working with you guys. So yeah, I would love to. So that's how I got into Impossible. So that was all like a coincidence of things, being somewhere at the right place, I guess, and having great people around me like Hans and Josephine, who, you know, gave me that opportunity. And then on Impossible, there was, in the cast was Jonathan Goodwin. And he said to me, you know, you have to get a visa, you have to come to America because you can work. You know, I have a bit of a different look. And he was like, oh, we need to make you a danger act, and it's all going to be, And without me knowing, he actually already pitched that to Simon Painter, which is, you know, the big boss of the Illusionists. And they were like, okay, let's do this. And he asked for some videos, so I just sent him some videos of me and Hans and of me in Impossible. And then he was like, come over to the Illusionist. We can definitely use a chick. And then I was there.
Very cool.
It's so cool as well that it was like with the Impossible one starting, that it was 2 women in the show rather than just like, because a lot of times they go, well, we need an illusionist, we need a mentalist, we need an escape artist, and a woman. And it was like that seems to be the structure.
We need a comedian, we need, and we need a woman. Yeah, that is very true. And I have to say, you know, I've heard this sometimes, and I do understand that for some male magicians who also, for example, would like to be in the Illusionist, that it's a bit difficult sometimes, because they do think, yeah, you're lucky because there are not many women and they now want and need a woman on the playbill, so therefore you have to gig. It's difficult to hear, because you also want to think, yeah, but I'm also good, you know, people really clap and they laugh and they like what I do. But at the same time, they're not wrong. You know, I'm not stupid. I know that that they need a woman, but I mean, yeah, I'm happy to fill that void. You know, sometimes you're just a bit lucky, and in this case, yes, of course, maybe for some magicians it's a little bit unfair, but for me it's great.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're going from one big show to the next show, I mean, you are doing something right. You might not be aware of it, and you know, you're not egotistical, so you're not like, I'm the best in the world, but they see something in you that makes, you know, oh, she seems to be like the missing piece for the next show or whatever. That's a great position to be in.
Yeah, well, thanks. And you know, I mean, I also talk to the people, like to the audience after a show, and there are a lot of girls, you know, women coming to me saying, oh, it's so nice to see. And obviously my script is also very empowering, not just for women, just for people in general, like stand up and do whatever you want. And I hope you walk out here and like tomorrow go to your boss and ask for that raise, or, you know, we can do anything, not just women, also men. We can do anything we want to do as long as we set our heart to it. But again, I do like the idea of a Beyonce in magic, which again is not me, because we need a new generation. But I do always do an illusion in the Illusionists with a girl, and I give her the magic kit, you know, and then I say the famous last lines that once Kevin James wrote, actually, because we need more women in magic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's very well received, and it's like that people then go, oh yeah, shit, yeah, we do. We need more women in magic on building sites. Do you know what I mean? In general, and we need more men in, let's say, female jobs. I don't know what female jobs are, but you know what I mean. As assistants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that is interesting as well. That like outside of just as Jonathan Goodwin was saying to you, it's that your look is different. So he wasn't just going, oh, a woman magician, we need to get you into illusion. It's because you're different even from other female magicians. And a lot of male magicians can learn from that, that it's like what they're looking for is different from what it stands out. And being a woman in magic is different, but also having a different look to every other woman in magic means that you get booked. And it's not just like, oh, we need anyone. It's like, oh no, we want that sort of look. The different style. And that's where people need to just go
Yeah.
off themselves.
Yeah, but I think for every magician, like you say, actually, it's about being authentic
Yeah.
and being your authentic self. And if that's long blonde hair, do you know what I mean? Then that's your
That's
authentic
you.
self. I am already like this since I was 21, so I
Yeah.
didn't change anything when I became a magician. And that's what I see magicians do, again, male and female, it doesn't matter. I see them search for a style and, like, for example, change their clothes because this is cool style, or change their hair because, oh, now I look different. I don't know, yes, different is good, but being authentic, I think, is better. And it's people want to hear stories, true stories. People want to feel that connection with you, and I think in magic you can very easily do that, because there is a lot of platform to talk about your interests and your life, and this is me, and it can be, you can be like, oh, this is me, and be like, look at Hans, that is Hans. He is not even, it's not a role, that is Hans, with the hair and the thing and wild, and that is just Hans.
Yeah.
And there are more people like that, and I think if I look at the really successful people, they are very authentic.
Yeah.
And it's actually the easiest thing to do, because you just look at yourself and you just make yourself a little bit bigger, because okay, it's stage, and that's it, instead of looking for some sort of alter ego that is just too far from you.
A lot of people fall into that stereotypical magician end. So they're the guy with the dicky bow, or the guy with the red waistcoat, or whatever. It becomes this thing that they need to have to be thing. But you're right. Like the majority of like real performers, even as a musician, the ones that become artists, or and very unique, are ones that are really true to themselves. And all you're getting is the same person, but whatever they're good at. Like if it's musician or magic or whatever it might be, or illusion, you're just getting them. And if they're have a rocky kind of a look, or if they have a kind of a hippie look, or whatever it might be, but they're just fusing that with their magic or their craft, then you're getting the truest version of them, and the audience will always gravitate towards that.
Definitely. And you know what fascinates me? Because magicians in general, we are always so busy with original material, right?
Yeah.
People always say, oh, that's a sword basket. We've seen that 50 times. Oh, that's a fire cage. Oh, that's the torn and restored. Oh, that's the, original material. But in the same time, we all look the same. And I'm like, huh? So we're banging on about original material, but we're not banging on about being original. You can be original in being you, being authentic, and telling your story. And then you can use a classic effect. Because we always think that our audience knows what a three-sword suspension is, but they don't. Only we know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You're
And
in a bubble.
yeah.
And people know. And I think a great example is like there's the cliche magician of the like top hat and the cape that you see in Halloween costumes. But then it kind of like there was a load of mini Darren Browns running around when he was out, or like mini David Blaine's. And now, like, if I was to describe like a cliche magician, now it's someone with like a beard, loads of tattoos, like ripped jeans, and a leather jacket, and you go like, oh, that's a magician once you see that.
Darcy. We're all copying Darcy Oak.
Yeah, exactly. we're all mini Darcy's running around the place.
I
And
mean, he's good looking, so I do understand that we all try to, I try to look like Darcy Oak if I could.
We had Darcy on the show as well, and he was just saying that the difference between like magic is one of those things that when you go to conventions, you could go to if you were a musician, you wouldn't meet like Mick Jagger at a guitar convention. It just wouldn't really happen. But in the magic world, you can meet the real top performers just walking around a convention, and there's no higher tier type thing. You can say hello or don't say hello. There's no pressure. And it's one of those arts that I think it's probably the only art that has that, really.
Yes, I mean, I think so too. I think we are all very approachable. Oh, not I'm saying we, but I mean the top people. They're all very approachable, and I think I agree. Like I was on Magic Live 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I don't remember. But then 3 years ago. I see there my my assistant.
Like three.
Three. So and they're just Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah.
And they just compliment you with that was the like bizarre, like, oh yeah, very good, with their funny accent. And you're right. That's true. But I think we are the odd ones out of the entertainment industry a little bit. It's such an old art form.
Yeah.
That we desperately want and need to keep alive. So I think community for us is very important.
Yeah, we had Joel Myers on the show from the States, and he was saying that like the only thing that's holding magic back to being like a real art, as like dance is an art and those kind of things, is magicians, because like you said, there's a load of magicians that are very unique and very and they keep pushing it forward, and they're the ones that shine. But there's such a massive demographic of generic kind of clone magicians that are just straight out of the box guys, no originality or anything. And I think they're making it they're kind of holding it back from it being a real art, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there is a point in what you're saying, but I have to stick up for for those people. Because, I mean, I am not original. No, I mean, I am not original at all, aside from being female and looking different. But like I said, the stuff I perform is classics, because I like to perform the things that I once saw and thought, how is that done? And doing that now myself, I find that really cool. Like how once I didn't know how this was, and now I'm doing myself. So, and it's the same with a singer or a guitarist or whatever. They play guitar, and someone 30 years ago also played guitar. Yeah, is how much difference? But we, for whatever reason, need to always do something extremely original, or that I don't. So I don't agree 100%, because I think an art form is what it is. It doesn't matter how many people perform it. I mean, it would be ideal if you perform it well for the art. And also, I mean, you start somewhere, and people probably have certain heroes. If you're into illusions, you look at Doug Henning, for example. I love to watch videos of Doug Henning. I think he's amazing. And also Hans, and then you look up to that, so you sort of copy that, and that's okay in the beginning, but it would be great that then later you try to evolve, But if you want to start singing and you love Lady Gaga, you probably do like Lady Gaga. That's I think that's okay, but it would be nice if you then at some point just acknowledge, like, okay, now I'm sort of good in the basics, so now I'm going to try and take that extra step.
Yeah, even if you go for like a singing thing, you go, oh, I love Lady Gaga, and you stick exactly singing like Lady Gaga, singing Lady Gaga songs, and then eventually you go, oh, I also kind of like Kelly Clarkson, and then you kind of like, your uniqueness is half Lady Gaga, half Kelly Clarkson, or something like that. And that's what it really goes in magic as well, that like we all steal from little trinkets from people and then mash it together and that's what we call originality a lot of the times. Like, how many tricks are there you can like make especially in illusions? It's like someone disappears, someone reappears, someone is split up, someone's put that together. Like, there's only 4 or 5 actual things, but then you can spin it in so many different ways.
Yeah, and there's a fine line between stealing something and being original.
Yeah.
You know, there's this great. There are a couple of books. What's this dude called? I have the book somewhere. The Art of Stealing, or the Art of
I think it's The Art of Stealing. I think is.
Yeah. And I read that, and he's right. You know, you get inspired by something. Like, even people we look up to and think they are so original, they have been inspired by something and stole that little bit and then made it their own.
Yeah.
So, you know, what is originality actually? It's a bit philosophical, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Recently, you were on Penn and Teller Photos. Do you want to talk about that? It was a great performance. It looked really cool.
Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah. So the day that email landed in my email box, I was just like, what just happened? I've been asked to do Penn and Teller. How do these people even know where to find me? So that was already like, wow, that's really cool. I love Penn and Teller. I love their show. I mean, speaking of original people,
Definitely.
You know, so I was very happy, and I already told my my boys, "Oh, we're going to Las Vegas. Pack your bags. It's gonna be amazing. You know, have you ever been to Las Vegas?" And they were like, "No, we've never been." I'm like, it's gonna be amazing. You know, we're gonna party. And anyway, then Corona hit. So we didn't go to Las Vegas. But at the same time, this was also kind of cool because we talked about doing it remote. And first they talked, so I had a Zoom call with 12 people. Yeah, because, you know, America, 12 people. And they were like, can you find like a theater in Holland and book your own camera crew? And we will be there over Zoom and we will give you instructions and whatnot. And I hang up and I thought about it. And I thought, I don't want to do that. Because, you know, what's the point? The point of doing a remote something, to me, is to show where you're from.
Yeah.
So then I said, I called them back, and I had a great producer. His name is Larry Herbst, and we're still talking now. I mean, he's probably going to be a dear friend for life. And I said, I want to do it outside. And I want to do it in a typical Dutch environment, you know, windmill, canals, boats, you know, I will wear clogs if I have to. You know, like, I want to just show my country. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if other magicians that aren't able to come to Las Vegas also do that, you know, go and stand under the Eiffel Tower. And especially Americans, they love that kind of stuff because, yeah, you know, they just love that.
And, we know how to sell it to the Americans. We're good at that.
Our markets, well, we would have had to do it with a leprechaun beside us or something just to get it across.
Shamrock.
That would be great.
Full green.
Yeah. And so Larry was like, I love your idea. Let's have a new Zoom call with everyone because, you know, everything there needs to be okayed by 57,000 people. So we have a new Zoom call. And there's one tiny screen in the top. And it has no name, and it's black, and it's muted. So I'm like, okay. So I'm just talking, and I said, how about I do it in front of the windmill? And I already took some pictures and some video of the area where I wanted to do it. And I screen shared, and I showed it. And they were like, oh, that's amazing. Good idea. Okay, now. So we talked it through. And then at the end, this little screen, it was unmuted, and I just heard, very well, Sabine. Thank you so much for. You have a great idea. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. And I just thought,
brilliant.
Yeah. So that was definitely Penn for people that didn't get my.
Hang on impression.
I gotta say,
Yeah, so it was great. And then it became all horrible because doing something remote with your own camera team and all the licenses you need for the location and the people and the quit claims and the footage and the editing. And then I had to be in a green screen at 4 a.m. in the morning for my interview with Penn and Teller. I had to give them footage for the B-roll for the interview at the beginning, and it was such a big gig. Like,
Yeah.
like when it was aired, me and Ryan, we looked at each other and we were like, we did it. But it was amazing. Yeah, I'm very grateful, and I can't really look at myself, so I've watched it once. I thought a lot of things about it, but I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Were you always going to do that particular illusion, or did you have a few ideas in mind?
Well, I thought outside. I always thought actually about this one because especially doing a levitation outside, I think is always good.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, it's a suspension. It's not really a levitation, but still, people quickly think, like there's something or lifting her or ropes. I don't know what they think. So
when you're outside like that, you're in the elements, you know what I mean? And there was water there, and you're outside. It had like there's no way there could be a trapdoor, or you're for people that don't know, they're trying to come up with the logical way of doing it or whatever. And when you're outside like that, they know there's nothing aerial above you holding you and all that kind of stuff. So outside is the way to go, definitely with something like that.
So no, actually, I was always going with the 3 swords, and they immediately okayed it. They were like, great.
Yeah, it's cool as well that like when you're outside, even though people might know a bit about invisible thread, like invisible thread isn't going to hold people. It's not enough. Even invisible wire and having water behind you, stuff would reflect if there was like a big thing above you or anything out of shot. That would have been reflected in the water, so everybody knows it's really above board. So it's definitely a great illusion.
Yeah, and the first time I did it, because obviously, I mean, we did do it a couple of times, and it is an edit, which is not great. I would have loved that it was just a one taker, but it was just difficult. It was difficult because you want nice angles. I only had 2 cameras, and later we saw that the footage of one camera, we can use it all. So, and you don't see that on the day. You see that later when you've already done it. So I was a little bit disappointed that I saw that it wasn't a one taker, and immediately I saw comments from people, like the shadow is moving, and I thought, yeah, you're right. There's nothing I can say. But the first time they put me on the swords, and I'm with my neck back, and I see these boats sort of upside down and water, and I'm like, normally I just see the stage and lights and I'm good, but this was just so. The first time I was a little bit in shock, and then the third time you're fine, but the first time it was such a weird. Yeah, it was just weird,
Yeah, definitely. It's when you're so used to doing something in a certain environment, and then suddenly it's like completely new, and especially being upside down. It's
it was just really weird. But do you know what I think also about 3 swords? Because it's really, really one of my ultimate favorite illusions. If I watch myself on a rehearsal video do it, I always think, how?
Yeah.
And I mean, I obviously know how it works, but it just looks, even to me, like, you don't see it. It's just such a brilliant illusion. Yeah, and then again, it's not original. It's really old, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I think it's so deceptive. And that's what magic is about.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it really sells it as well, that like it's the fact that it's swords, because there's similar illusions with like broomsticks or chairs and that sort of stuff, but it being swords does add the danger element that like if whatever's holding you up, the power of the mind or whatever breaks, it's like it's a sword going through you. It's not that you fall down, it's the risk.
How do you balance your whole body on your neck on a sword?
Yeah
And it just looks nice. Yeah, I just love the trick. It's so deceptive. It's, to me,
the
mirror.
movement as well of the legs and stuff afterwards to show that like you're not just like tight together. You can, because then it shows that like you're also, your body's relaxed, that it's not just some gymnastics or dance move where you're just like squeezing your abs really hard and just be like, come on, I can do this. Once you start moving the legs, you could show that you're actually in a more relaxed state than people might have initially thought.
Yeah, so that's the only part where I try to add some of originality in it. You know, I watched a lot of people do it, and they never move anything, and
Yeah.
I was just messing about when I was laying on the sword, trying to feel what can I move, and I noticed like, oh, I can move my legs like a matrix, almost like in the matrix, like you would do in matrix, and I can move my arms underneath me actually. And I asked Ryan, can you film this? How does it look? And we looked at it and we thought, yeah, it looks deceptive. And then you think, because then you're doubting. You think, why did no one else do this before? There must be a reason. And then you look at it a couple times, you go, no, I'm going to do it. I think it looks great. So, and then a lot of people and also magicians actually said, whoa, the legs, like that, like I know how the trick works, but how did you move your legs? And I just think,
Yes.
my legs.
Doing it yourself as well works well with that, because a lot of times you see in those suspensions, it was the magician hypnotizing a woman, so she's stiff as a board, and then they wouldn't move because they're the stiff as a board type thing.
Yes.
So adding in that you're like you're the performer doing it yourself, and you're not just in a hypnotic trance. You're able to move a lot more, and really
concentrated.
Yeah, and it makes it more like a levitation than just suspension as well, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So we're coming to a point in the show where I'm going to bring this up, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is a segment that we do every time, where we ask someone to tell a story about a show or performance, some sort of trick that started off good, went a bit bad, maybe even ugly. So what is the one? We had the newspaper already, but what is the one disaster or funny story that comes to mind?
The one disaster.
Yeah, it's the one, you know. We've all only messed up the once.
I know. No, like, it's honestly, if you tour with me so many times. So,
I've never had a good show.
What was really not great was the first time I did the water cell in China. I don't know if you've seen a photo or whatever. The water cell was newly built for me by Willie Kennedy, amazing, but very small and very high, because they wanted, a bit of a different sort of vibe. And I am chained up and everything, and obviously I'm not going head first, so I'm not being hoisted or something. I have to physically climb a ladder at the back. Mm-hmm. But I was wrapped in chain and handcuffs. They were so tight that I couldn't really get up the ladder in the back. So that took so long, seriously. And the audience was just there thinking, trying to get up this, and then swing one leg over. And I was sitting up there thinking, oh, if I fall down now, it's so high, like 3 meters high. And then swing the other leg. Okay, now I was sitting at the top, happy. Well, not because, I have to go in, but sort of happy. Breathing and doing everything, trying to calm myself down, because that one, you really have to hold your breath, preferably for a very long time, which is already very difficult in a show situation.
Yeah.
And I jump in, the moment is there, I jump in and I lean too much forward and I bump my head on the iron sort of frame in the front. So I jump in, holding my breath. I bump my head. I now go back, bump my head in the back. I go down. I chafe my knee on the side, because on the inside there are these little plastic, sort of triangles to keep it strong and together. So I chafe my knee. So I have blood here. I have blood there. I am sitting there after 10 seconds thinking, I want to go out. I can't anymore. But okay, so I could calm myself down. I mean, I didn't do a great time that evening because I was so shocked from everything that had happened, but still okay,
Yeah.
I came out, massive applause, because people thought, poor woman, probably. There was blood here and blood everywhere, and blood mixed with water doesn't look great. So it wasn't all age appropriate anymore at this moment in time. No, it was just, those kind of things.
It reminds me of the scene in the Now You See Me movie where the piranhas go into the water tank and blood just appears everywhere. Yeah, people must be like, "What? This is crazy."
That was me, but I did it to myself.
Yeah.
Those things, and then you just think, I'm so dumb. Do you know what I mean? And then the next day, when you have to do it again, because that's tour life, you climb up the stairs, and all you can think of is, don't hit your head.
Yeah.
Don't hit your head. Don't hit your head. And it just becomes this whole thing. I don't think I've ever climbed the ladder since not thinking, don't hit your head.
Yeah.
And that's other than that, so also something funny thing actually that I did once was I was working with Jonathan as I was sort of being his assistant, but I was also doing my own things. And together we had an hour in Jeff Hobson's theater, the new theater he has in Palm Springs. And we did the show. An hour was great. And at the end, he does crossbows, right? So I'm holding everything up and fine. I see that the technician forgot to put the stool down. In the end, I sit down on the stool and I have a balloon above my head. And he didn't have a stool. So I decided to squat. And Jonathan first, he puts his bow away and he just says, "What are you doing?" I'm squatting and I'm like, "There's no stool." And he was like, "Well, go and get it." I'm like, "Okay." So I walked into the wing and got the stool and sat down. And he tried to aim again, but he was laughing so hard. I think we were all laughing for 5 minutes. I was laughing, he was laughing, the audience was laughing. And then every time he tried to lift up the bow, he was like, "No, I can't. I'm still laughing and I can't keep it And then afterwards, he's like, "That was the dumbest decision I think you've ever made."
Yeah. You don't want to have your quads burning as he's aiming and you go, "Wait, I need to stand up. My legs are too sore."
And I just thought, shoot, come on.
Yeah. It's probably a different height than he's used to as well because the stool is there and it's just like, oh, that would...
All the choices and all the decisions you could make, you decided to squat.
Yeah.
Dave was once a parking cone for me in a blindfold drive, so that's pretty dangerous and crazy.
Yeah. We had a track set up, so Steve was going to be blindfolded and I laid out an obstacle course he was going to do in and out of the cones. And then while he was blindfolded, we had a spectator choose a cone, swap the cone for me, and I was just standing there. And in rehearsal, Steve was miles away from me. And of course, live audience, he decides to cut it really close and then at the end accelerate at me and just hit the brakes. And I just didn't move. And it was about that close to my leg by the time the gear stopped.
But so I mean, then you also have nerves of steel if you didn't move.
Yeah, if it was in rehearsals, I would have jumped out of the way. But it's kind of the thing I think we all have when there's an audience there. You just go for it.
You have to, yeah.
Steve,
thank you a gabillion afterwards for such a great act.
No, he thought I was an idiot.
I couldn't see anyway. So if I had hit him, I wouldn't have been traumatized or anything. It would have been fine.
Right. Yeah. Well, you would have to wipe the blood off the screen.
Yeah.
It's either way, if it goes right or it goes wrong, the audience applaud, and that's all you want. So it's fine.
I don't know if that's all I want. I don't know if I can go that far for an applause.
No, maybe not. It's when you see the car coming at you, I could jump and I land on it. Maybe, who knows? We'll see what happens. But
we did it. It was a one-timer. It was one of those kind of stunts.
Yeah, one and
only.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to do it with you anymore.
No.
Definitely that. So we just want to say we're just coming up in the hour now. So thank you so much for joining us. Have an amazing time. And if people want to follow you online or check you out, anything you want to promote, now's your chance.
Yes. Well, all my socials are at Sabine van Diemen. So I have them all. I'm not as active on all of them. Like, so I would suggest Instagram. And if I can plug a little bit, if you don't mind, I don't know if you guys have Clubhouse. Do you know what Clubhouse is?
Yeah, it's the new like a group chat thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, chat, yeah, sort of, yeah. So it's more like it's a new sort of social media platform. You can only join when you have an iPhone. So sorry for everyone that has an Android phone.
Android.
Okay, so not for you then.
I'm not cool enough.
So yeah, it's like a podcast. So you listen, but you can also join. So you can also speak. And this coming Sunday, me and Colin Cloud are hosting a room on Clubhouse, and we talk about tour life versus now. And with now, we mean Corona life. So yeah, if you have nothing to do, I mean, join in, come into the room, and share your crazy tour show life stories with us.
I know for sure that Dave is running out right now to buy an iPhone.
Luckily, my wife has one, so that's handy.
Oh, download Clubhouse. You need an invite from someone, but I mean, if you want to join, then just ask me and I'll invite you.
Absolutely, definitely.
Sabine, you know you're very passionate about like women in and young girls wanting to be in magic and stuff like that. I have a little niece and she's always loved magic. She doesn't perform a whole lot, but she loves watching it and she's always intrigued by it. And I have taught her little kind of packet trick kind of things over the years. She's 10 now, but like, is there anything for any kids out there or anyone trying to get into magic or even young adults that want to get into magic and are girls and they're probably like, maybe it's not for me or whatever? Is there anything that you give them as a bit of advice as now as a seasoned professional as yourself?
Yeah, I think it's the easiest advice ever, but it's so true. If you love something and if you're passionate about it, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just go for it. And even if it doesn't work out immediately, and if it doesn't work out the second time, if it makes your heart tick faster, do it. And don't care what anyone else says. Don't care if someone says, oh, isn't that for boys? Or you're not doing original stuff, or whatever they say. Just do whatever you want to do.
Nice.
Absolutely. Definitely. I think that's a great message to end on. So thanks, everyone. And we'll see you all again next week. And have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. Bye.